Okay, what I've learned with these is the speaker goes here. If you had one speaker, that'd be fine. Again, this speaker is a little bit too big, it's too wide, and it's too fat. So what I've been doing is I've got these 3/4 inch or a 0.62, but the 3/4 just barely fits on here, and I put it face down on a piece of paper stuck to it, which doubles the sound output. I hook it in series, so I'm going to cut one of these wires. It doesn't matter which one. I'll hook the positive to the positive, then take the negative to the positive in a second speaker, which is going to be up inside of here, inside the cab, and I'll show you how I do that. I'll use the plug-in, and I will desolder this speaker so I can use the other end of this cable to go from the speaker that's up in the cab and come back. And so if I need to take the shell off, I can go ahead and disconnect it very easily and have the shell separate from the base if I have to work on the motor or something. So you don't have to do that. You can just solder them direct and have enough wire hanging out there that you're okay. So in preparation to take this apart, I've moved my Scotch tape. Now you gotta be careful because these are really durable. I'm really amazed at how durable the rails are on these things. But I've got to get in here and free the cab, and it's kind of a fun thing actually. I don't know if I can use 2 fingernails and get it to pop off or not. There we go. Now just make sure you're careful with these, that they're not hanging up in their holes, and they're not. That one is, so it's free. Then you get this off. Now, the other thing I'm going to end up having to do is I'm going to cut this area out right here using the Dremel again. And then I'm going to glue an engineer and a conductor on here so I have people inside the cab. Hopefully that'll distract from the... Okay, one thing I've learned with these things, this is a MRC, excuse me, 14 by 20 millimeter speaker, and I've put the face of the speaker. This is a QSI mini speaker. This is the face and the back. And what I do is I cut a piece of cardstock and I glue the face of the speaker to it using the Mrc0001622. And then I take a little bit and put it on the face of the board, and then I glue the paper down to it. So it's curing. It takes a couple hours for that to cure out. I've kind of decided that for the shell, you see I put some Scotch tape on this, some magic tape, and I've got a pencil mark, and I'm going to go ahead and cut that out using the Dremel. And I want this speaker to fit not in the top of the cab, which makes it just a little bit more difficult to play with, but I'm going to mount it right here. I don't even know if I'm looking at it here. Sorry about that. So I'm going to mount it right here. It'll be down in the shell just a little bit. It can't go very far because it'll run in. And then when you look through the cab, you'll just barely see it. It'll actually be better than what I had before. So it's kind of an improvement in the process. So what I take is my Dremel, one of the handiest tools around, and we'll fire it up and see if I can do this without taking fingers off so much. The Dremel didn't like it, huh? What? The Dremel didn't like it. Dremel, this thing. The machine right there. Go watch your cartoons. Okay. That holder is not working too good. It's my wife's curling iron holder. And it doesn't seem to like having to do this. So, let's see if we're there yet. I doubt it. Not quite, but close. Not quite, but close. So I'll clean it out just a little bit more, and then we'll see how that looks. That speaker just grabbed me. Okay, so what I've done here is I've cut this wire from here, as you can see, and soldered it onto this wire that goes to this positive side of this speaker. Then I've got some shrink, make sure it's tight. I've got this really small shrink that's going over the wire. Then kind of get it out of the way a little bit, and very carefully shrink it. That's all it takes, and it just gives it insulation, and it makes it a little bit stronger as well. Now the negative wire will go to the positive of the next speaker. So what I did was I went ahead and took off the wires from another speaker, so I'd have a plug-in that I can use to go to this. So this red wire coming off of here will receive a wire coming back from the other speaker. Actually, from this, it'll get the red wire coming back. Okay, so this is not that complicated. So it's excuse me, the negative coming off, coming through the pin. Now you see it goes to a black wire, but when it comes up here, as you can see, it connects to the positive wired on this speaker. Then this speaker comes off the negative and it goes to a red wire, which ends up going back to the negative wire to the speaker. The positive was hooked up directly to the board itself. So that is like a series. So it's like a flashlight. You go negative to positive, negative to positive, and that allows the speakers to operate. So give me just a second here and we'll see if it's going to work. And obviously it's going to work. Let's see what it sounds like. And I'm just using an MRC Tech 6. Put it in forward. I love these things. You can hear it as you throttle down. It just keeps going. We're in reverse. Okay, so that's what this is going to look like installed. And that should work just fine. It's not too high. And with the cab on, it's not going to be very visible. Just need to make sure everything fits back in there yet. So just a few more things to do. Okay, so we're down to this point. I found my little people. So meet the engineer. And what I will do is take an emery board, because he's too wide to fit between the shell and the outer shell and the inner shell. So I'll take an emery board and just grind him down. We'll do both of them until they fit. Then I've already measured where they go. Then I'll put them on there with super glue, and then we're about ready to put all this back together. Okay, so measuring inside the cab, you kind of get an idea of just how far up you can go with the top of the head. And it comes out to about 7/8 of an inch in these. So I've super glued them on, and as you can see, you can see through my hand, I suppose. They're right at that 7/8 inch mark on both sides. The conductor is further forward, of course, than the engineer, because the engineer has a control console he has to work behind, and the conductor goes right up by the glare shield. So we'll see how this looks. We'll let it dry for a while, then put this all together and see how it sounds and see how it operates. Okay, so the cab fit back on really nice. I think you can see the guy, and then looking through, it's kind of impressive with this system because the speaker is invisible. You don't see it looking through the top windows, which I really like, because the other way I was doing it, you did, and it kind of, I don't know, I just consider it kind of a distraction. So you can see the conductor a little bit further forward than the engineer back at his console. And these rails, by the way, are really durable, but you still got to be really careful when you're putting this all back together, and then just make sure it's all back. And but I am amazed at how durable they are. I've done 4 of these now, and haven't broken one of them. I got a couple extra sets, but haven't had to use them, so I guess I'm doing it right. So we'll take the tape off, put this back on its shell in a second, and put it back on the track and watch it operate.